Hey y'all, it's Renegayde, and I hope everybody is comfortably seated because it's about to get real uncomfortable up in here, y'all. We're about to spill some more reality on all of the pettiness, betrayals, and stolen charcuterie that the fifth week of Big Brothers 26 had to offer. But before we get into things, let's not wait any longer and introduce my co-casters as well. First off, don't mess with this married mother from Texas. It's Doug Dimmadab. Doug, it's been a brand new house this week. How are you feeling about everything following last night's eviction?
Oh, so damn relieved. I'm so happy that the the worst married mother is now gone. Oh my, I'm so happy. So damn happy and jubilant.
Well, now you can get her title from her officially, Doug. But somebody else who might be in the running for the title here, our other co-caster joining us tonight, and I think his big booty might be blessed, but it probably won't help him on the wall either, or in this draft. It's QuackrrJack. Jack, it's been 5 weeks into the season now, and spoiler alert, you've sadly just lost your second draft pick tonight. How are you feeling overall on all of the drama of the week and your thoughts heading into the possible jury phase of the season?
Blessed and highly favored, of course, as a married mother does.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, at this point in the competition, I care less about my picks and more about the drama and ensuring that we get a good winner or someone who actually played the game happening. And I'm just living for everything because it's been a couple seasons since we've gotten like a really good season of Big Brother. And this one is really shaken up to be one of the better seasons I think I've ever seen. Now, there's still going to be a lot to happen after the 5 weeks, but I'm excited because the house keeps flipping on itself.
This house is very, very messy, and honestly, something about this week that just felt so funny because obviously, I mean, as you can tell here, we are clearly such fans of the married mothers of the house. But this week, it definitely felt like Brooklyn got her just desserts here. Like, this was just kind of karma at its finest. I remember last week, I remember saying during that live show, I was like, something about that moment that she had with Rubina, where she told Rubina she was going home. Like, it felt like it was going to come back and bite her in the ass. And oh my God, did not everything that Brooklyn ever did in this house come back to bite her this week? Um, uh, we kind of talk here initially because, as you know, this week really began on such a high note with Kimo and T-Core finally officially flipping the house to save Rubina, while the Pentagon finally lost their first member in Cedric, and all eyes this week were on the remaining members, Brooklyn, Cam, Chelsea, and Quinn, as their games have been put on display for everybody to see. And truthfully, it kind of felt like at least Cam and Chelsea maybe were going into this week with a cool head, but again, cannot say the same for either Brooklyn or Quinn because again, they were really having a true competition here to see which one of them can blow up their game the fastest. What were your thoughts overall here on the remaining members of the Pentagon, their chances kind of overall here? Actually, maybe we should just call them the rectangle or maybe the triangle now at this point. But do we think any of them have a chance at a long run in this game now, or is their game really forever tainted by the fact that they were part of the Pentagon or the Pentagon?
I feel like Cam probably has the best chance because he really kind of has been just there. No one's really hated him, so I feel like he probably has the best chance of them because he never really did too much with them. So it felt like he's the least connected of that Pentagon group, so where it won't taint his game as badly as anyone else's.
Jack, do you have any
Can I
thoughts
just,
here? Yeah, go for it.
yeah, can I just ask, Doug, who is Cam?
Exactly.
He was the
Like,
new house guest that showed up this week.
there was a person on the block this week that I hadn't seen for 5 weeks. I was like, when did they sub someone in to take a spot on the block? What happened? I'm over here. They keep talking about a Pentagon, and I only see 4 people. I'm like, you got Cedric, you got your fave Quinn, of course. We got Married Mother Brooklyn, and then of course Chelsea, one of the masterminds. And I was like, but that's only 4 people. Apparently, there was a fifth person in this alliance. I don't know. They haven't made any waves in the house. They haven't even talked to a person that I've seen. The most time that Cam has gotten on any kind of live feed or anything was him lying to Tucker's face this week, which was funny to me. It was a great time. I don't think Cam is necessarily off the hook just because he's so forgettable. Because all it takes is him to win one competition, and all of a sudden, like it's gonna flip that. Like, okay, Cam is still a strong competitor, whether or not like you want to admit it. The muscles can't just be for show, right? Right? Like,
Right. I mean, he's
Uh,
had some
mm,
pretty good performances, I'd say, to some degree in some of these challenges, but I mean, he is competing against Tucker, so I mean, it's going to be kind of hard for him to kind of show up and show out in any competition where Tucker is competing against. But I actually after tonight here too, I think maybe we are second guessing how good of a competitor Cam
well,
is. Um, but
well, I mean, I think something has to be said about the other Pentagon members though, because Quinn has Quinn is crazy. Like everyone knows Quinn like cannot be trusted. Quinn is crazy. Quinn doesn't know how to shut the fuck up for 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like Quinn
no trust.
cannot be trusted, but right now he's a number for some people. So they're like kind of letting it chill off. But to ever give any ounce of trust to Quinn is just a mistake. Chelsea, on the other hand, we know she's feisty. We know she's got a lot in her still. She's the one to be looking out for. And I would have said the same for Brooklyn had she not gone this week. So very good outcome for Tucker's HOH, to say the least, and very good for the Avenue overall.
I would say I kind of am agreeing with, I would say, actually, I do think maybe Chelsea might have the best game plan here, just because I feel like her and Quinn are in very similar situations in that they are now kind of blown up in the fact that they both will strategize, they're both going to plot and scheme. And as much as Cam, again, is invisible, I think you're right, Jack. I think the fact that he's always going to have that target on him based on the fact that he does have muscles, like he should be good at things, so there's always that potential there, even if he doesn't show up or show out. But I mean, kind of fast forwarding a little bit here this week, the fact that he survived a vote against Brooklyn, I mean, I would never suspect in anything other than maybe a Brant Steele situation here that you would ever get rid of a married mother of three over this competitor that does like football and stuff. But in this sort of situation, I'm like, no, this makes sense. But I mean, between Chelsea and Quinn, again, they're both kind of in the same position. They're both called out, but I think Chelsea is definitely the better player of the two. So I think she probably has the best chance of maybe slipping into the background a little bit, maybe taking advantage of the situation here. But I would honestly think that Quinn might have gotten out of this week with the better position, although I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a winning position. But we can get into some specifics about how these four ultimately kind of handled being in the firing line this week, as week 5 began with a Big Brother stable competition, the wall. First off, y'all like the wall?
I enjoy watching people fall off the wall, but there have been times where the wall lasts way too long for my liking.
I enjoy good endurance challenge, especially like just they just randomly blow like goo at them. But it was pretty fun to see that type of twist on an endurance challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the wall per se. It's just kind of a staple. It's something you kind of know is coming at this point. So at this point, I don't mind it. It is definitely a lot more suited towards a certain individual of a certain, height and a certain grip strength. So I was not surprised to see who ended up lasting super deep into this competition. And we kind of talk about, because we watched most of this play out live after the episode, so that was a lot of fun, at least. But Angela, Kimo, and Joseph were the first three to fall off and become have-nots for the week. One by one, everybody else falls off, including Blessed Booty Chelsea, leaving us with a final three of Cam, Quinn, and Tucker. Again, not surprised really to see it come down to three strong guys with some really good grip strength and that are probably the three tallest people in the competition. So, not surprised by that. Cam would go down next, leaving the two bitter rivals, Tucker and Quinn, to battle it out. And this would be exactly where the feeds cut, which was so annoying to have to sit there and wait for 30 minutes for it to come back on and try to figure out, just based off of their faces, who ended up winning here. But we learned that apparently a deal was attempted to be struck here, and neither would step down, and it was Quinn that would eventually lose his grip first, and Tucker would go on to secure a head of household for the week. And Tucker has no hesitation to call Quinn out as his target as he celebrates again his first head of household of the win of the season here. What do y'all think overall of Tucker now being in control here? Are you excited for him to have power, or were you wondering exactly how messy he was going to get? Or was it a little of both?
I was excited to see how messy he would get because Tucker is probably the most unpredictable player on this cast, so you probably will never know what he is thinking. So I was really excited to see how messy and how much he could flip the house again after it just got flipped on his head just hours before.
For me, when it comes to an exciting season, I was super, super happy to see Tucker win his first HOH because he's won like 1,000 competitions in the last like couple days. So I was like, just add another one, but let him have more power than what he's had before. Like he's obviously safe, and now the powers don't exist. So like, no one's HOH can be stolen. Rip Angela's second HOH. It was a fun time, just seeing him be like, I'm not afraid to make moves, and that's like one of the fun things about Tucker's gameplay is like people are going to actually have to fear for their life in this game because Tucker's not just going to put up any two floaters that you want on the block now. No longer do we have the like Pennies or the Lisas of the game. Like you have actual threats in this game that you need to get out. And Tucker's strategy is let me start like identifying who my enemies are and like make it very apparent that like we will be getting one of you out because we're gonna get some work done this week. And that's exciting because it's annoying when you watch people just take out who are floaters or people who don't really matter or don't have like much going on. You just see an 8-person alliance like run the house for a while. Like that's boring. No one wants to see that.
Well, it's officially blown up now because the collective is no more. Especially because Tucker uses this week to really solidify a lot of power. I was actually very kind of surprised by just kind of how much people were kind of willing to work with Tucker this week. And I mean, I kind of get it though, because I mean, he is winning a lot of competitions. I wouldn't want to be on his bad side either at this point. So we do get the solidification of the Tanks Alliance again, which is between Kimo, T-Core, Rubina, Tucker, and Angela, and who's willing to be on the bottom and is just happy to be a part of something. But since Joseph also chose to evict Cedric after apparently he spidey sensed the eviction vote was going to flip when he noticed that Leah and Kimo were holding hands and being so emotional. So Kimo suggests at this point to bring Joseph into the alliance, and thus Sixth Avenue is officially formed. Um, is this our most favorite alliance of the game? Because it's my most favorite alliance of the game right now. The six is easily my favorite. It helps because all three of my draft picks are currently in it, so I would love for this to be the final six. Do we think this new power could possibly make it into the final six, especially with the shenanigans that we will likely have later this week to talk about here?
No. This is my favorite alliance, but no, there's no chance these six are making it to the end. And it has to do specifically with the fact that Tucker is such a great player at this game, not just in the competitions, but like I think it's understated how well he's doing in the social aspect of the game. Like not only is he a strong competitor, but he's been making moves to like up his game and up his allies' game that people see him as a threat and they know that he's always going to be a threat. And at some point, and I assume much earlier than later than the top six, they're going to try to vote him out, right? Or they're going to try to backdoor him, in which case six is way too late to try to make that happen. It is true that there there's a lot to be gained from an allyship with Tucker, but even this week alone, we saw the Sixth Avenue like come to a indecisive moment, I should say, where many of the different players were actually upset with other players in the alliance that had just formed. That doesn't that doesn't like seem like it's going to be a stable thing going forward. It seems like it's a voting block more than an alliance at this point.
Oh, do you have any thoughts on the group of six came together this week?
Ah, I I love that they came together. I would love to see them in the final six, but I don't feel like they'll be the final six, especially with Tucker up there, because once Tucker just doesn't win anything, or him and Angela don't win anything, then he's probably gone. Unless somehow him and Angela just keep on swapping HOHs, I don't see this six going too far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, just for my purposes, that they get far. I would love to see the six go deep. I don't think there's going to be anything close to a solidified alliance in this game whatsoever. It's going to break down, I think, eventually to like probably duos and maybe trios, probably to some degree, and who's willing to work with who. This house is extremely fluid, so I just don't really see how all six of them are going to make it deep to the end, especially with some of the drama that we'll get into a little bit later this episode. But in a rush for our nominees here, Tucker kind of makes it pretty clear that the remnants of the Pentagon are going to be his targets, under the guise of Quinn being the main target. But it turns out he views Brooklyn really as his biggest threat within the alliance and wants her out the most. Brooklyn goes into this week initially playing the shocked and confused card, blaming Joseph, Kimo, and Tikor. I don't know why I keep calling them Kimor and Kimo. I mean, they are basically one unit at this point, but yeah, Joseph, Kimo, and Tikor. She's mad at them and blames them for not including her on Plan to Flip, saying that they're playing poorly. But I have to laugh at that because, girl, let's talk about all the ways that Brooklyn literally sinks her own game this week. Especially since it's confirmed now to Tucker that Brooklyn was never loyal to their 5 points alliance. In order to put his plan into motion, he targets Brooklyn and Quinn on the block and nominates them against Cam, who I think again will be as the new house guest that came in this week. And he just never speaks ever, like literally. Like watch the live feeds, all he never talks. Like, come on, Cam, do something. Um, what were your thoughts on Tucker's initial nominees between Brooklyn and Quinn, or this Cam person, and who would be your target specifically out of the three?
Honestly, if it had been me, I might. I think he made the right choice going for either Brooklyn or Chelsea as like the main target. I do think Quinn is like clearly never going to be his friend kind of thing, right? Like Quinn is never going to actually want to work with Tucker, and I think he understands that to some extent. But I think he realizes that Quinn is less of a threat in this game because his game is kind of blown up because everyone knows all of his backdoor deals and all the shady moves he had and how he had an alliance with every single person in the house and blah blah blah. You know, he's done a lot of shit to like really make himself on everyone's radar, especially in this week. And I think following his terrible usage of his uh, strongest power in Big Brother history, you kind of look at Quinn and you're like, um, wow. So maybe he's not the best target. Like maybe Brooklyn or Chelsea. And you know, it makes complete sense to go after one of these two. I think if it had been me, I might not have put Cam on the block, or I might have chosen to spare Brooklyn from the block. Only because Brooklyn was the one who technically didn't lie to him in the interviews he kind of had with everyone. You know, earlier this week, before he made his noms, he had those one-on-ones with every person who was in the Pentagon, and some of them were caught lying really, really easily. And surprisingly, one of the people who was lying the most, Chelsea, didn't end up on the block initially. But either way, my nervousness was I didn't want Chelsea or Brooklyn to play in the veto and take the other one off the block and have them both be safe because I just thought that was worst case scenario. But either way, it ended up working out well. So well played, Sucker.
Do you have any thoughts on the initial nominees here, Doug? And do you think you would have changed anything about what Charcuterie did, or do you think he made the right moves here?
I think he made the correct choice here because, like Jack said, having Brooklyn and Chelsea up at the beginning is just not great because then you can't just have both of them be up at the later time. You can make sure that you win someone else wins the veto, and then you can make sure that you can put both of them up for AI arena, so then you can make sure that at least one will go home. So I feel like not having both Brooklyn and Chelsea up at the beginning was the good move, and putting Cam as a third person was good.
I kind of go back and forth whether or not I would have put up Chelsea just right away without Cam, because I mean, as we kind of see later on, Cam does kind of get at risk to kind of go home here, and he could have used this maybe as an opportunity to kind of get Cam on his side here. But I mean, obviously, at this point, it seems all four of the former Pentagon members are all kind of tainted a little bit in the eyes of everybody. So, you know, I don't think there was actually really a wrong move as long as it was a member of the Pentagon at the end of the day here. So we have to take a side moment here just to take a quick moment to get into an Angela Watch segment of our podcast tonight because you know what, this season would be nothing without Angela, so we need to take our moments and appreciate her, especially because this week we learned that Angela is a lover of charcuterie, y'all. And I mean, how could you not be? Let's be real, charcuterie is the shit. I will not be told otherwise. But you know what? We learned again from her head of household last week. She won a basket of fine meats and cheeses that she was just so excited to partake in. That, you know, as we learned here, and as you know, meats and cheeses, they'll last for a good period of time here. They're not going to go bad. But you know what? This week, Angela couldn't partake in them because she was a have-not. See how we had that full circle moment from the head household there, that foreshadowing moment here? Okay, so glad you guys are following me here. So, unfortunately, because Angela was a have-not this week, she could always wait till next week, right? It'll be good till September. Well, you're fucking wrong, y'all, because Brooklyn, the true villain of this season, has decided to take it upon herself to ensure Angela's reward does not go to waste and decides to eat her entire plate of fine meats and cheeses without asking. I have so many questions, y'all. First off, how dare she? Second off, what gives her the right? Just the cheek, the nerve, the audacity, the gall, the gumption of Brooklyn. I wanted her evicted and expelled on the spot. Cannot. What were your thoughts here on the appropriation of the coochie board, y'all?
Uh, that really pissed me off because it's like that's literally not even yours, and you're as the person that hasn't even wronged you, and you're basically going, "Ha ha, you can't eat anything, but we can, and we're stealing it because we don't give a shit about you." And it was really showing her true character right there, because she's like always, how dare you do something bad to me, but then does the exact same thing to someone else, and then has the audacity to be shocked as the same person doing something to her, when because she feels she's done nothing wrong and is the perfect child of God, when it's like, no, shut the fuck up. You are not. You are not the code of God. Goodbye.
I think going off of that, I think what's really important to note here is this is what Brooklyn's first time on the block versus Angela, who's been on the block multiple times. And yes, you can flip the story and say, well, Brooklyn never got anything from home. She didn't win an HOH, blah blah blah, whatever. But she didn't even have the like kindness or consideration to even ask Angela about this. She just whips it out and starts like opening up the packages, which unfortunately I believe is kind of the problem because now you have put an expiration date on these that's going to come much faster than if you would let them just be like sealed tightly, shut, air shut kind of thing. And so now it's like you did it, and all of a sudden, oh well, now I've opened them, so I can't take it back. Like, no, girl, you know what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. You knew for a fact that you were gonna go in there. You were gonna take all of her stuff just as a retaliation because you know she can't eat it as a have-not, and then you're gonna use that as an excuse to make yourself not look like a bad person. When indeed you're just mad because Angela is friends with Tucker, so Tucker doesn't put her on the block, and instead the alliance that was going to go after him and the other like 8 people in the house, since it was technically an 8-person alliance, like are the ones uh getting put up on the block. Like, why? Let's not act like it was one thing when it wasn't, and it was a completely different thing. Like, I just and to see her Angela react so like honestly just like being on the floor and just being like I'm so pissed, but like I don't want to like she knows that she causes a lot of drama in the house. She knows that she can be a dramatic and she's trying to avoid, causing this big scene with Brooklyn. But like I think she handles it really well because who wouldn't be depressed if you were having cold showers, eating slop all week, like sleeping in a really uncomfortable room, and you're just looking forward to that day that you can finally have those meats and cheeses and stuff that you specifically got from your HOH or your uh birthday. And no, this bitch is gonna take everything. Like it felt like Brooklyn's just desserts. And when Angela did the goodbye message and was like, "Don't steal someone's charcuterie board stuff," I had to laugh because once again, Queen Angela has survived so much in this house, and now she's gotten karma again. It's a beautiful story that writes itself, honestly.
It really does. Like it's just this week was so perfect. So perfect. Uh I was just you know what? I don't even know why it's making me so mad. Like it really it's just this out of all the things that Brooklyn did, like I don't mind her being petty, but this was just mean. Like this was just rude. I was I don't know. Yeah, this genuinely made me upset. I felt so bad for Angela. And granted, they probably made it much more overdramatic because of the editing. The editors are loving Angela this season. They're having so much fun with everything that she's doing. So it was a lot more probably overdramatic than it needed to be. But you know what, Brooklyn, don't take someone's Ouija board. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving on, y'all. Um, our week of Big Brother's favorite competitions continues on as we see the return of Hide and Go Veto, which, if y'all don't know how it goes already, well, clearly you already know how it was because you watched the show, so I'm not going to get into it. What are y'all's thoughts on the return of this Big Brother Classic competition, and what were your thoughts on everybody's strategies going into it, and who did you think had the best shot to win?
By far, Tucker had the best shot to win because I think he thought ahead. I think he really thought, like, what's like the best choice to like really get through this and get every single like space out of my brain of like, where can I put this that no one's gonna find it? And then you have people like Quinn who literally have no clue. They have like zero idea of like where am I going to put this? Like they haven't been thinking about it. Like we didn't know this was a possibility. Like be so serious right now. Come on.
Kind
The
of
first
pathetic for a super
still
fan, right? Like,
right,
you
of
can say
course,
you're a super
another
fan and you're
super
not fighting
fan.
for these things. Like, it's so bad.
Like, and then he didn't even know any of the he didn't know any of the cushions or anything that had zippers on them. I was like, what are you doing? How do you not know this? Like, these are things that I would have immediately been like on my radar, things to do while I was in the house. Like, maybe it's also because I'm a person that fidgets with things. I'm very curious. But like, as someone who's also like would be a super fan in this scenario, I would want to know where everything is and everything like that could be hidden because we've seen things hidden in the house before. We've seen things where you can find different areas to hide for this specific competition. Like, there's a lot a lot of reasons why you would have already scouted out places in this house, and to just not even attempt it is just so confusing to me.
Don't really know what Quinn was thinking at all, and I think someone like maybe Joseph too was kind of just like, I'm just gonna put it here. But I think Joseph didn't want to win either, so I'm not blaming Joseph as much. But I'm just Quinn, you were questionable, sir. Doug, did you have any
Oh,
thoughts on this veto situation?
I thought it was a pretty fun concept for a competition, and I thought Tucker definitely had the best idea. I know y'all been shitting on Quinn, but he did also think about where Tucker put it, but he didn't think it was possible to put it in there like that. Tucker figured out he could do it with like 2 drawers, so I definitely was expecting Tucker to win because who the fuck's gonna be opening 2 drawers like that to figure out where it's at? That's definitely probably the best spot you could probably put it. Maybe the other best spot would be in Angela's charcuterie board.
No, not in the charcuterie, not in the trash. Or she probably has a grave dug out for it somewhere in the yard now, right?
I mean,
And
we
I do
have
love
seen
that.
someone put it in the trash before.
I do
Well,
love
underneath the
that
trash.
Joseph literally picked the most obvious spot, and it came down to him and Tucker. He clearly was like, "Yeah, no, I don't give a shit about the competition." He's trying to throw it, and literally everyone just like going past the most obvious spot.
Where exactly was his again? Was it the plant one?
No, that was Mackenzie's. Tucker literally sniffed at that as soon as he got into there.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was kind of smart, but like, you know, it got found. But where was his spot again?
I think it was like in like one of the closet, like right in the closet or something like that.
It was
That
someplace
was
near
like
the
out.
entrance, right? It was like close to
Yeah,
like one of the first places you should have gone in to look. I don't really remember honestly where he hit it honestly, but it was one place close where it should have been found like relatively early. But what I kind of thought was hilarious out of this is we didn't even really get a lot of drama out of the competition. It was what happened after the competition. Well, I guess during the competition, but what happened when everybody got back into the house afterwards. Because Brooklyn, instead of looking for veto symbols, takes a moment to air out some more pettiness here as she decides to throw all of Tucker's clothes from the closet onto the floor.
Antique horse.
Oh, and T-Core's too? Oh, dear lord. Oh, yeah, I forgot she was also blaming T-Core about stuff too. Well, T-Core didn't really make a big deal about it, at least during the episode, but Tucker obviously flipped out here. Um, and I'm just like, I'm kind of actually living for this to some degree because this doesn't bother me as much because I mean Brooklyn has a reason to be upset at Tucker. She's not just jealous because she's not as good of a married mother as other people in the house. She's legitimately coming for Tucker. So this is something to get under her skin, and I thought it was pretty smart that she tried to pawn it off on Quinn as well too. But did you guys think that she was going to get away with it? Because initially, seems like she was going to.
I thought for sure, and I actually like saw people talking about like if this had been Tucker, you wouldn't mind, and I was like, you're probably right. I wouldn't have minded, but the point is like the reasoning for it didn't really make sense for me, anyways. Like I didn't think that there was much reason to do that when you're trying to save yourself so badly, right? And it was like first of all, she didn't do a great job hiding hers. And then she didn't even look to like try to find Tucker's really. It seemed like she was way too concerned about just like trashing the house to make things more difficult for other people. And I understand like the frustration, but the veto is your time to like try to save yourself one of the times in this season. And it just didn't seem like her full focus was there, which even if she hadn't been the winner, anyone but Tucker could have been a possibility of her like either getting saved or someone else getting placed on the block or you know something to help you. And if it let's say if she still believed that Quinn was the target at this point, then you should be trying to get Quinn's out as well, so that way you're safe from that possibility. So I guess it just didn't make sense to me.
Any thoughts on Brooklyn's strategy here to go for Tucker instead of the veto, Doug?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty stupid to not try to ensure your own safety by basically not having a good hiding space, and then as I guess I get trying to put so much stuff on there, but then that's like makes it a bit more obvious. It feels like since Quinn obviously like found it very quickly, and I thought it was really shitty of Brooklyn, where literally the night or two before that, she was literally consoling Quinn and like being a rock for him and like being there, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I'm just gonna just kick you to the curb and not say anything and fuck your game up because I don't give a shit. Even though she's getting mad at people for doing the exact same thing to her in her eyes, but it's okay when she does it. It felt really, really scummy to me.
Here's a little hot
And
kettle black.
yeah, very hypocritical. Like, I would rather her go on, yeah, I'm gonna fuck your game up, and I know that, and I'm gonna own it. Instead of doing that, she's like, don't, but little old me, how dare you do that to me? But let me go do it to somewhere else. But I've never done anything bad myself. Just own up to it. Like, I would rather have them own up to it and, like, be the villain. Like, just own it, please. I'd rather have that so much than just being like too scared to like and be like, oh, I would never do that. It's like,
It is kind of disappointing. That's why it feels like less game for me and more just trying to just, be kind of just a dick.
yeah,
For lack of a better words.
be more like Sandra and tell Russell like, yeah, I'm gonna write your name down. I don't give a shit. I'm
Yeah, own it.
against you.
And it felt like she was trying to own it a lot in the diary room, and I don't know. A lot of Brooklyn's bravado just it didn't work for me. I don't know. Like it felt very, very fake personally. But honestly, like I said, it almost worked here because of all people for it to possibly work on, it would be Quinn, the guy who fumbled up again the biggest power in Big Brother history. Because for all this, Tucker was going to take Quinn off the block, but since Quinn stupidly revealed to Brooklyn that she was the true target this week, and of course Brooklyn already threw Quinn under the bus at this point, or to Tucker, Tucker doesn't believe Quinn at all. And he doesn't believe Quinn when he says he didn't throw his clothes on the floor. But eventually, Quinn does have a moment of good gameplay, finally, where he decides to come clean on all of his lies to Tucker, which makes Tucker realize just how poorly Quinn has been playing this season this whole time, despite being in such a great position, and realizes that he really isn't a threat at all. That's why at the veto ceremony, Tuck has yet another performance lined up for us, calling out all 8 members of the collective while naming the 5 members of the Pentagon, and saying that he believes the true leaders of this alliance are both Brooklyn and Chelsea, deciding to use the veto on Quinn and throw up Chelsea and her blessed booty as his replaced nominee. What were your thoughts on this whole veto ceremony here? And again, was this the correct move?
I thought that the whole spectacle was great. I thought it was a good thing to just call everything out and just let the chaos go. Like, that's basically Tucker's MO at this point, is just create as much chaos as he can. So it was some great TV there.
Personally, I loved it. I think this is such a smart move because in case anyone wasn't aware of what was going on, here's the real tea. And now you know, like, okay, but like maybe T-Core and Kimo and Joseph were all in on this collective, but here's the real tea. They weren't in on the real alliance, which was the Pentagon. The collective was just for numbers. So don't be mad at them because they were just trying to keep themselves safe. Look at the people who are really masterminding this. And it takes you to that point where you're like, oh shit, there was like a really things going on. And like, even if everyone already at this point knew because some people just can't keep their goddamn mouth shut for 2 seconds, like at this point he tells the whole house in front of everyone, and people, I want to pull that whole that clip of of her just like covering her mouth and being like, oh, and trying to act surprised. Like, was that Davon correct?
Yep,
Who did
Davon
that? Like
pretends.
that was the
Oh
moment
my
for a couple of
god,
them, but some
pretends
people
to be
didn't
shocked.
know. Right, right. And it felt very much like that where we were like, I bet a lot of people know, but causing that kind of drama and that chaos is great because now it looks like Tucker is doing you all a favor because he's telling you what to do. Like he's on your side. He just wants to get out these people who are planning and plotting against y'all. Like, let's keep it going, y'all. And this, in theory, assuming that Joseph is correct that the people this season are going to actually make good plays, could buy Tucker a week or two of extra, like going further in this game because the people scheming and plotting have been revealed now. And yes, everyone makes alliances and everyone does this or that, but to really take the complete like center of focus off of the fact that you win competitions and to put it on the people who were previously like kind of running the house, it's so interesting because now they see like what was going on and it had already been confirmed, so everyone can like be like, yep, this did happen, so it's not just hearsay anymore. And when you blow up someone's game in such a commanding way at a big a big time like the veto meeting, like it's a great spot because everyone has to be there. They have to listen, and if you're the one in charge of it, they're gonna give you the full attention. So I think it's a great game move, and something I wanna also like pick up on really quickly. I kind of don't blame Brooklyn for throwing Quinn under the bus completely, even if it was dirty and nasty, because that's kind of the game of Big Brother, in my opinion. But it clearly didn't work for her, and she didn't stick to it well enough.
I
And if
don't
it had
blame
been
her
me, I
either,
would.
but I just think it
Yeah,
was. I think I think it was less. I think it was just a combination of everything else that happened along with it too. That just was just kind of like, is this just how you play Brooklyn? Is this who you are? You just a petty
I
hoe
don't.
that
Yeah,
just you
for me,
can't
it's
handle
just
when things
like
come after you.
like it's okay to like put him under the bus, but like what I didn't like was her basically going, "But I never do anything like that. I would never do anything shady, and how dare someone do something shady to me?" It's like just her being very fake and not owning up to anything was the what made it feel icky to me.
To me, like I was totally okay with that because I was like, you better play that shady ass card, bitch. Like, and I wanted it to be like that so bad, but it felt like I don't know who or what said it, but I feel like they figured out that it was Brooklyn who did that, and because I know that there was like the live feeds we watched, and Angela thought it was Cam, but then eventually it came out that it was Brooklyn, and I was like, I, you could not have gotten that secret out of me. Like on TikTok, when girls are telling you all those like random things that they did back in the past to get a man's attention on Snapchat or on Instagram, they posted this and tagged the person. I was like, girl, that is like I'm going to the grave with that information. You're not getting shit out of me no matter what kind of feeling for me at least. Like that's exactly how I would have played that. I'm like, I cannot believe Quinn would do that to you two just because you quote unquote ruined his HOH. Like I even voted on the wrong side of the house, but you don't see me attacking you two for it. Like have some class, Quinn. Like that's exactly how I would have covered it up. I would have been like, that's so fucked up. I've been like, Tikor, I am so sorry. And look, Tucker, I know that we have our differences and stuff, but I want to let you know straight up, like, married mother to man, that for me, a married mother like myself would never do something like that.
I can't
I
believe
wish if she did
Angela.
it, she just would have stuck all the way through it, right? Like, I wish if you were going to
hmm
commit to it. It felt like she was kind of half-assing it, and that was the issue. Is that I just if you're
You
gonna
gotta
go
commit to the
full
bit.
villain, go full villain. Just go full out. Make me root for you at that point. But I think one thing that you brought up here actually that I kind of segues into our drama for the week here is that Tucker blowing everything up here. I think to some degree, especially with people like Leah and Mackenzie who haven't I think been privy to all of the information. Mackenzie especially, I don't think she knew really any of these alliances existed personally.
Yeah.
So with players like them and Angela clearly wanting to work with Tucker. It seems like people like Kimo and T-Core and even Rubina are starting to question just how loyal Tucker is going to be to them and just whether or not Tucker really is kind of playing his own game without them. And at this point, it seems like they were willing to make a move here that was not going to be what Tucker wanted, because obviously Tucker wants Brooklyn to leave, but there's a lot of push here at some point to save Chelsea and Brooklyn as well too, because Kimo and T-Core for whatever reason feel closely to them, even though Brooklyn and Chelsea have literally not been close to them at all whatsoever the whole entire game. So it seemed very
Mm,
strange for me that they were really willing to backdoor Cam without Tucker's approval, especially just knowing that you just made an alliance with him last week and flipped the game. I just thought this was just in such a bad taste to kind of even consider this, just because they already pulled a giant move last week. Now you're gonna flip back to the same people that you just blindsided that know that you can have this kind of power. I don't think it was a great move. But was it great for drama? Yes, because we literally went into eviction night not knowing they were really going to pull this move off. Because Kimo and T-Core were definitely talking about wanting to do it, but every single time they would slightly push it to Tucker, Tucker would say no. Tucker would call it off. So were you guys of the mindset of what I was thinking of here, that it was just a bad move to make the move at this point? Or were you hoping the girlies were going to make a move happen?
I was kind of hoping, like, if it was Cam and Chelsea, that they would take out Cam, because it does kind of feel like that Tucker's like bringing in like MJ and Leah more, and that their alliance with Tucker should be a bit temporary, and that's what it kind of feels like that. And if you can trust Chelsea more, that's what. If you can have another number on your side, then that's the best, because Chelsea's probably more in self-preservation mode at this point. So you can basically probably trust her for as a number right now. But I'm glad that it did not happen with Cam and Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's just been a mess.
I mean, I'm biased here, obviously. Like, I don't really like Chelsea and Brooklyn at all. But for me, I was really confused because I was like, so Chelsea to core Chemo, right? This is a pairing that makes sense to me. But the idea that they were trying to do this like 4-person thing with like Brooklyn as well, I was like, why would you do that? Because you know Chelsea is always going to have Brooklyn's back over y'all's, right? Like you know it's a 2-and-2 essentially at that point. And even if you like include Rubina or whatever, right? Because like first of all, I don't know why Rubina's even in the conversation because they voted to evict you. Like, girl, bye. I would never. Like the moment that you
Mhm.
voted to evict me over someone else, like we can act like we're friends or whatever, and sure, I'll like play that card with you guys and be like, no, we're totally good. Like I forgive you. I understand the situation and the house told you, blah blah blah. But bitch, I don't think that at all. Like I am ready to get your ass out and use you until I need to, right? Like that's my number one. Like at that point, like I need to protect myself, but I need to use you till you're no longer helpful. So for me, I was confused because I was like, this is not a good play in that kind of sense. If you want to save one of them, great. But it needs to not be Brooklyn, especially because T Core and Chelsea already had this, kind of alliance thing. They already had like kind of a cool vibe about them. I know there was the three C's, but it felt like T Core was really close to all the people in the three C's as well. So it kind of felt like it made sense for Takor and maybe Kimo to like care about Chelsea, but the Brooklyn like affection or whatever was weird. And the idea that if Brooklyn had won the challenge for AI Arena and then they would have gotten rid of Cam, would have just been such a like I think just a really big amateur error, like mistake. Like you're thinking too small, like short game and not enough long game because every action you have has a consequence and it's not necessarily just one. It it would have been, oh great, Chelsea's on my side. But guess what? Tucker doesn't trust me anymore, and he's pissed. And I think what they failed to really do here was have those conversations with Tucker and make sure that like Tucker's still on their side. He's still like, their number, and he wants to go to the top six with them. Because Tucker does trust them. Like Tucker hasn't done anything shady yet. Like he hasn't shown himself to not be trustworthy. He's done everything. He's shared all the information he has with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's been a good ally to them, and he wins comps. And at this point in the competition, I'm not mad about having the comp winner guy on my side. Like wait till AI Arena no longer exists and then backdoor the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll get HOH. You'll have the time to put him on the block and backdoor his ass. Like it will happen eventually. Like you'll have the opportunity whether you take it or not. You have the opportunity. But this early in the game, in the same week that he gets HOH, it forms this alliance with you. That's bad gameplay because now no one can trust you if that happens. At least that's
Yeah,
how
that
I
was
view
my
it.
thought. That was my thought process too. I was like, I just think it was too early to make a move here on him, especially knowing that AI Arena still exists. He could still win. You can't backdoor this guy until at least probably like what, final nine, I would think at this point. Like, is this really going to possibly last till jury? Is jury maybe not starting next week? Who knows?
I think jury starts probably soon, if not
We'll
next week.
guess we'll find out at the end of this week, right? Um,
Probably.
Because, well, we go ahead and get into our AI arena competition this week, which was called Digital Decryption. In this one, the house guests have to read a series of phrases that are floating erratically around a video screen, and they're going like forwards, backwards, in circles, etc. They'll have to match all the nonsensical words using photos, and the first person to do this correctly will win. And there was things like a snowy burger bouquet and underwater super elephant and some other crazy stuff. So, I didn't think this was that hard. It was initially kind of confusing at first, but I didn't think it was that hard. And
It
I
wasn't.
kind of I kind of have to laugh. They took so long to do this. Like literally, the loop stopped for that they were doing. It was just the phrases on the screen for a good like 2 minutes, and they still could not get this.
And bloody.
like Like I thought Cam was gonna do well at first, and then Cam started putting things up the wrong. I was like, oof, no. Then Chelsea started getting things. I was like, oof, okay, no. And then Brooklyn started to maybe. I was like, oh, okay, no, okay, maybe back to Cam. And I was just like, okay, somebody's got to do this at some point. And finally, Chelsea puts us out of our misery and wins safety here, um, leaving Brooklyn to plead her case openly in the short period of time they have before voting. But what happens here ultimately when the votes come in is Chelsea is the only person to cast a vote to save the married mother from Texas, as Brooklyn officially becomes our fifth evictee from the show. Jack, as she was your draft pick, I will give you the final words here tonight. The final words here first. Do you have any final thoughts on Brooklyn for this season?
Girl, you ain't gonna give me time to talk about all the other stuff that happened? Damn. Um,
Like what? Like what? Go
First
for
of all,
it.
let's get into the AI arena. This was
Stop.
embarrassing. Embarrassing. We were all waiting. I was looking at the thing. I was like, oh, super. I had it immediately. I was like, oh, super elephant underwater, whatever it was. I was like, okay, cool. That one was like the one doing at the bottom. And then one was going diagonally, like up and down, up and down. And it was really easy to follow the letters. And then one was doing like a Pac Man, kind of like up to the right, down to the right, up to the right. And I was like, okay, so you can like follow this. It's really easy. It got so pathetic that at the point they literally put two of them just perfectly in the words, just straight up in front of their faces on three screens, just moving back and forth, just perfectly aligned so you could read it just word for word really easily. And the other one was just backwards. And still at this point, they all struggled for like a good couple minutes. And I think the producers and everyone watching who was doing this live show, I was like, is Julie gonna come in there and like give them all two of the answers right away? Like, are we gonna have to do this? What is going on? Like, it was some of the worst competitor bullshit you've ever seen. And I know people always say, oh, it's harder when you're there, blah blah blah. No, girl, like this was one of those moments where you're like, did you all graduate high school? and learn how to read. Be honest. Be honest. Like it was one thing for at one point, someone had like the bouquet answer. People put the astronaut with the bouquet on there. I understand that. I get that the burger bouquet was not as easy to understand as like the super elephant, right? Like you didn't see another super elephant or anything that looked like an elephant or whatever, right? But the bouquet, there was a couple of them. I get that was hard at first, but people were literally just like putting up anything and then trying it. Like then they started to sort the pictures on the ground, and I was like, the whole point is that you know what you're supposed to be looking for because it tells you the answer, and they just weren't reading. And I like everyone in the audience was like, oh, "This is embarrassing." Like we're watching this. It was a mess. And Chelsea finally comes out and wins it. And then there's like this huge talk, and Brooklyn makes this final attempt, and she's like, "Girls, you gotta keep me in this game because you know I'm gonna play up against Tucker. Like I straight up will be gunning for his ass. You know that you're safe with me. Do it." And I was like, at least she's fighting like this. But honestly, at this point, you should have secured the votes way earlier in the week, girl. Like I would have been fighting, cutting deals with everyone in this house. I would have been going up to T-Core and Kimo because they have the most power. I would have gone up to the other girls and be like, please don't evict me. Like, let's get the men out of here. We can't get another woman out of here. Like, let's keep it going strong with the guys going out so a woman can win at the end. Play up any strength you have, possibility wise, to get your votes. It was just a little too late for her, unfortunately. And what I think really like sealed the deal for me of like, though this technically should have been to his detriment, when Cam told them to vote for him, that's how much Cam isn't here this season mentally. Cam forgot the voting process was they were voting for someone to go home. And he was telling them he wanted them to vote for him. And he's like, wait, to stay, I mean, to stay. And Brooklyn was like, no, go for it. Yeah, vote for him. Vote for him, girls, if you want. Like, I think it was at that point that everyone in this house was like, it is Cam even playing the game? And I think at that point, if you weren't thinking definitely not, like even if he was, let's say, acting or something, we know he's not. Come on, y'all knew he wasn't. It was embarrassing. I was like, even the final speech, Cam couldn't even get right, and I was like, at that moment, you had to really think to yourself, am I going to keep someone who is literally unaware of everything happening in this house, or am I going to keep someone who's been in multiple like shady alliances trying to get people about this house? Like it was a clear like Brooklyn had to go moment. And that's why the house was almost unanimous for once, which was fun to see. It's fun to see these non-unanimous votes. Like Chelsea's willing to give up her vote, even though she's technically not on the side of the house. She already knows she's her point in this game. Like she knows what it is, right? So like, what's it matter? I love seeing people willing to just like vote how they want and not being completely told or feeling like they have to vote a certain way. Like it makes the game more fun. And you know what? This married mother going out, like maybe she won't be the first married mother to ever win this game, and that's fine because honestly, I don't think anyone was really rooting for her that hard anymore. And also, she was annoying. She was annoying, and I knew that from the get. That like when I picked her, I was like, she's gonna be annoying. She's gonna be very annoying. But people have a very different view of other people, like and how they treat them than I do because I'm a very logical, maybe not the most emotional, driven person. So I have like my own views of the world, and I get that. I totally get that. I don't have the same experiences, but I was just like, damn, she just wanted to blow up her game so bad this week. She said, please evict me, and they did. And I think, her and Quinn, she unfortunately won the battle this week and got herself evicted.
Kind of sad losing to Quinn, right? But according to Brooklyn, she is the best, or Quinn is the best player in the house. So,
And that
uh,
shows you her lack of ability to understand anything or read anything in this game. Embarrassing.
Doug, you had a lot of strong words for Brooklyn tonight. Would you like to end with a few more?
I'm so glad to see her get out. of of the house because she keeps on going like thinking she's actually good at challenges when like you couldn't even like look at the AI arena. You couldn't even get literally those two lines of words that were literally telling you what they were. You were getting them wrong. Like you saying that, oh, you're gonna be able to take out Tucker. No, and literally every single challenge, like, yeah, I'm going to win. I'm the winner. And it's like you don't even come close to winning, and then you keep on shitting on Angela. It's like she actually beat you. You didn't do
Twice.
anything there. Like she beat you twice. Like oh boy, I am just so happy to see her toxicity out of there. It is gonna be nice to be watching the show and not have to hear about how Brooklyn's gonna be winning every single challenge, and how that someone did her wrong when T-Core and Kimo didn't really do her wrong because she literally was telling them, "Hey, it's Rubina. You have no choice. Suck it up. It's bad for my game." But oh, sorry, bad for our games actually, even though it's not bad for your game. And then literally shit talking them about them when they didn't do anything wrong. Oh boy, I am so happy to see her booted, and I am kind of worried about what her post game interview is gonna be like with Julie, because that's gonna be a fun one. All I know is that it's probably gonna be 10 minutes of just God.
True.
But first, God, yeah, yeah. I'll be honest. That'll be an next interview. I am probably not going to be tuning into. No offense
These
to
are the
Brooklyn,
memes.
but I'm just, I'm not a fan. I'm sorry.
Don't say
um,
sorry.
uh,
Don't apologize for how
Yeah,
you feel.
yeah, no,
don't
okay, yeah, I'm
apologize
not sorry.
to
I'm
the
not sorry.
worst Mary Mother.
I was just not, uh, not very impressed. But I will say. She adds to the collection of very, very amazing pre-jury votes that we've gotten this season. Just because like everybody that I have disliked has exited that door at some point here. Other than Cedric, I don't think I disliked Cedric, but he was necessary to leave in order to shake up the game. So I guess in a game aspect, I disliked Cedric. But that leaves us heading into week 6. We have 11 house guests, so again, hopefully jury maybe will start here. I can only hope that maybe these people will be the people that we leave with the rest of the game. I mean, there's a couple people here and there we can pick out, and I wouldn't really matter. But ultimately, people like Angela, people like Tucker, I would like to see them for the rest of the game. So hoping jury starts here. But who knows? Maybe we have to wait till final nine. Guess we'll find out this week, and we'll also find out this week who is the AI instigator. Which I'll be honest, I completely forgot it existed. I thought it was supposed to be this week when we found out
Same.
about it. I guess we'll find out this week who that is. Who we think is going to win that? You still think it's Tucker? I'm still thinking it's Tucker.
I don't. I I really don't know. I
Maybe.
don't think it's Tucker because of like the shit that was said about like him and Rubina and then making Rubina cry. So it's like him being closer. I feel like he would know that would be sensitive for her, and I don't. I doubt that he would actually do something like that. Maybe it could have been like Brooklyn or something like that. She went out.
I think it had to not be Brooklyn because I think
Yeah,
whoever got
she had
eliminated
to be in the
probably.
house.
Like,
Yeah.
well, I know a couple of like the house guests are speculating it could have been Brooklyn.
I would assume that whoever it is okay. So my big guesses are either Angela or Tucker, just because of their response from the team, from like the people watching the show, especially those watching the live feeds. But if not them, I'm wondering if maybe Quinn got it, possibly because like here you see this person like mess up everything with the first power. Maybe people want to give him an extra chance, or maybe we see someone like Kimo getting it because he seems to be pretty beloved by the community, at least from what I've seen by people. And that would kind of strengthen his game if he could maybe break up the Rubina Tucker alliance and get closer to either one of them.
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. I mean, I guess we'll kind of find out. I don't. I feel like it's not Quinn. I thought it's
I
Mackenzie. I don't think it's. I
I
honestly, I don't think it's anybody outside Sixth Avenue. I think it's somebody in Sixth
yeah.
Avenue.
I think it might could be Joseph because when they were doing like the video for the AI Instigator, everyone was down there except for Joseph.
Wouldn't that be too obvious, though? I did see that though, because I remember
Or
there was rumors that the feeds were down because Leah had said something derogatory. And I was like, okay, let me watch. And then when it came back on, Joseph wasn't there. But I feel like that would be very obvious if that was the case, honestly. I think he just probably got up after whatever happened and probably maybe went to the bathroom or something. Who knows?
no, he was
Um,
asleep.
oh,
Yeah.
he was asleep.
Apparently,
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
he was
Okay.
asleep.
Okay. Well,
Like,
who knows,
I would
y'all?
have also though. I would have been like
and
sleeping
it would make
immediately.
sense, like for him trying to break up Rubina because he wants to be close to Tucker. I think that's his like closest ally right now.
True. That's very true. I mean, that's a possibility. Well, the one thing we do know for a fact are following that we do have a new head of household, and we do have three new nominees. So if you don't want to hear anything about these new nominees, stop listening now, Gert, because we about to talk about it. Okay, well, obviously, we don't know the competition, but our new head of household officially this week is T-Core, which I'm very excited to see there. Obviously, it means Kimo, Rubina probably aren't going anywhere, but what do we think T-Core's best move is here? Because she obviously, at this point, has so many options. Does she make the big move against Tucker? Does she go after someone she has no connection to, like a Leo or a Mackenzie? Or does she just continue the decimation of the ex-Pentagon members, Cam, Chelsea, and Quinn? Well, she decides to actually do all three. Because she puts Cam on the block, Mackenzie on the block, and Tucker, who has volunteered yet again, which I don't think is necessarily a bad move again for Tucker. At least he guarantees that he gets again two competitions here, and he basically, I think he's kind of at the point here where he kind of has to take every opportunity he can to win. But every single time he wins something, it's even more likelihood that they're gonna vote him out the moment he doesn't. So I don't know how to feel about this 100%, but I'm also kind of very interested to know what T Core's ultimate end goal is here. 'Cause it seems like more than likely it might just be probably maybe Cam or Mackenzie just going out this week. Do y'all have any thoughts on what her best move is here? To close out our podcast, Doug, she's your draft pick. I want to hear from you first.
I think her best move is to hope and pray that Tucker does not win Veto or the AI arena. Because if he can just stay on the block, best move is to just take him out right now because you do not know when you're going to be able to take him out later because who knows if the AI arena is going to stay around if they see that Tucker's being very popular, they may not get rid of it, they may keep it for the entire time. So I think the best move would to be to hope that Tucker doesn't win and just to boot his ass out there. Besides that, hope probably take out maybe Cam, since if you are wanting to go against Tucker, that is one of his numbers there. As long as he can get like Rubina and Kimo on board, that would probably be the best move after that. And then
Hmm.
Leah and Mackenzie are just kind of they don't know shit. They're both trying to like I guess battle each other for who gets to flirt with Tucker the most. So
I mean, I could see the novelty of getting rid of one of Leah or Mackenzie out because that's a guaranteed again vote here for Tucker too. So I mean, if they can't get Tucker out immediately, I mean, you could also make an excuse to go after one of his allies that you're not personally working with here too. I don't know. There's a lot of options T Core kind of has here at this moment. So hopefully, whatever she does is a smart move here. But Jack, I want to give you the final thoughts for tonight. What do you think about T-Core, the nominees, and everything as we head into week number 6?
I think T-Core has been really smart about this. She's put up 2 people that, like, doesn't have much, like, say in the house. They don't have much pull. No one's gonna be mad that they're up on the block, really. And when you're looking at T-Core's game, we can break it down pretty fast. Like, you have the people of the 6th Avenue. She puts up Tucker because Tucker volunteers once again. That's a great choice for her. It also allows her to spare some blood on her hands. Now she only has to put up 2 people. After we get rid of the 6th Avenue people, we're left with 5 options. Her options are Quinn, who she has an alliance with, Mackenzie, she doesn't really have a connection with at all, Cam, she doesn't really have any connection with at all. So these are both 2 great choices. And then, oddly enough, we have Chelsea and Joe, or not Joseph, I'm sorry. We have Chelsea, who she does have a connection with, and she's trying to keep, and Leah, who she actually was shown starting to like create a relationship with this past week in the live feed. So I think it's smart that she doesn't put Leah up on the block to try to keep that relationship, and also Chelsea trying to keep that relationship too and keep it strong. So in my mind, she kind of made the perfect choices because if someone comes off of the block and she has to then put someone else up, she either has to kind of choose, is she going to go back on the alliance's word, or is she going to go ahead and maybe put Leah or Chelsea on board, proving that her alliances are not as close there, or is she going to put up Quinn as like a, well, girl, you kind of did us dirty a bit, so I think it's just fair. Like, there's a lot of choices here, but I think she made the correct choice in her names. I mean, if someone volunteers to go on the block, put them up. Do yourself a favor, girl, because now no one's gonna be mad at you because they'll back it up and be like, "Yeah, I said I'd go up." So you're good there. And something I want to note on too is I think it would be a terrible decision to backdoor or to get rid of Tucker this week. I think it actually hurts her more to do something like that than it would to benefit her game. Just because AI Arena can't last that long. Like, there can only be so long that they're gonna allow 3 people up on the block a week. Because at that rate you're just gonna have to put the whole house on the block. Like, there's no way. There's no way they can keep that going past like 8 people, right? So you're gonna have a time to get rid of Tucker no matter what, because there's gonna be a time he can't win HOH. There's gonna be a time you can backdoor him. There's always a chance to backdoor these people. You just have to wait and pick the right moments for your game. And right now, Tucker is one of her strongest allies, and she wants him there for the veto so he wins it. She wants him there possibly for the AI so he could win it. She wants him there to possibly win an HOH, keep her name off the block. I mean, Tikor is one of the only 3 people in this game, sorry, that has not hit the block yet. It's her, Leah, and Joe. Like, these are the 3 people that haven't hit yet. Joe wants to keep Tucker in, clearly. Rubina wants to keep Tucker in. Kimo wants to keep Tucker in. I mean, come on. If you're going to break up this alliance and get rid of Tucker, it's a terrible move. And you're going to make enemies out of your friends. Like, it would be such an awful play at this point. Yes, it's a strong power move. But again, we're thinking short game and not long game. She needs to keep her people close. And if she wants to, prove that she's a real ally to the other 5 people in her 6th Avenue, she has to get rid of someone who's not there, which leaves her with 5 options. And either way, she can get rid of someone who she thinks is getting a little too close to someone else under the guise of, I have to get rid of someone. And if she's afraid of Tucker's relationships, Mackenzie's a great choice. Cam is a great choice. Or she could possibly make friends with Cam and be like, because I don't think Cam necessarily has bad blood with T-Core. I don't think there's any, like, real hate or disdain there. I don't know if Cam has any emotions towards any of the house guests. I mean, we haven't seen him on the cameras, so, we're heading into week 6, and one of the nominees is still someone who no one knows. So, I mean, he's a great choice to be on the block, probably as a pawn, honestly. I would say Mackenzie's probably the target at this point, and if one of them comes down, I would assume she would probably put up Leah just because she doesn't want to put up Chelsea since Chelsea's a better number for her. And Leah is like close to Tucker too, so it just makes sense. So if it were me, I would just keep the noms the same if at all possible, let Tucker win AI, and then get out either Mackenzie or Cam. Probably Mackenzie's the preferred choice because he is a number for Tucker, but not really a number for her. I don't know. There's too much to risk in going for a Tucker play this early, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree too. I'm of the mindset that I think it's a little too early, especially because the big thing for me is that if you now get rid of the biggest person, biggest target in the game, well, guess who becomes the next biggest target in the game? And now you're having to play the Tucker role now because you were the person that slayed Tucker. So now everyone's gonna want to slay you. So I don't know if it would be what I would want to do, especially week 6, knowing that we don't even know if the jury is starting or not. We don't even know if Tucker is going to be on it. So it would be a situation where it's like you're getting rid of a guy and he could possibly be sitting there um, bitter as fuck at you, and before heading into the final vote. So I don't think it's necessarily the best move, but would I enjoy the move from a drama point of view? Hell yeah, I would. Wouldn't like it from my draft team because I'm loving the fact that I've been able to get this far on the skates. But each week we get by, I'm just gonna keep knocking on wood. Hopefully we keep scooping by week here.
How I, how would T Core be seen as the Tucker Slayer when she can't really vote?
Because she's the one that put him up, and obviously she would be pushing to get rid of him. So if it happens on your head of household, generally you get the credit for what happened that week. Like Brooklyn
Okay.
is clearly Tucker's move. Generally, the head of household, even though you don't get the vote, you get the influence. So
Uh,
a lot of the
okay.
time, and I think we're still at that point in the game where you kind of try to still appease the head of household and give them what they want most of the time, other than that Cedric vote. Everybody else has kind of gone along with that household, so kind of
Well,
for the most part, up until
Almost.
like this week.
that's Cedric dug his own grave, and honestly, if them putting up Rubina was just the dumbest move they could have made, and that's in my opinion.
Well, in my opinion, T-Core and Kimo screwed up by even letting Rubina get up on the block to begin with. But
Exactly.
they've
Yeah.
Yeah,
walked
they
through it. They're
tried.
fine with it. It's fine. But I I just need T-Core and Kimo to be a little bit smarter with what they're doing. Hopefully, moving forward. Hopefully, they're out of
Or at least have a
the
plan.
well, they have a plan, but the problem is they never enact it. Is they always say they're
I
going
should
to talk
say
about it,
have a
and then they
long
never
term
talk about
plan.
it. Yeah, I don't think they do. I think honestly with this group, it's kind of hard to make long-term plans because honestly, there's again, there's bigger groups, but there's so many smaller groups, and everybody kind of has a lot of connections to a lot of people. So it feels like outside of really Chemo and T-Core and maybe Tucker and Rubina, there aren't a whole lot of people that have like super solid deals with people like that. It feels like it's mutual. Like clearly like Joseph and Tucker are working together, but is it really mutual that they both value each other as their number one? I don't know. Um, like
What?
T-Core and Chemo wanted to save Chelsea, and Chelsea didn't even value them before this. So it's just like it's constantly everybody is misreading kind of where they stand with everybody else. So I think the only person that really kind of has a clear understanding of where they kind of stand is Tucker, and that's kind of to his benefit because he kind of has a very clear to some degree on who he needs to kind of target and who doesn't. I think a lot of the other people, especially in the middle, like Joseph, the Chemos, the T-Cores, um, they're going to have a very kind of interesting path because they haven't really fully committed to, certain people, especially Joseph. For example, like Joseph has committed really to anybody, I would say. So like it's weird to
Other
have
than Tucker.
yeah, but is he really even 100% with Tucker? We don't even really know if
Yeah,
he's just using
he
Tucker
said
for
it multiple
now or
times.
well, he could
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
using him for now. Joseph is the kind of player that he'll drop anybody at drop of a hat. So
Oh yeah, Joseph is
You
the
know,
dark
this
horse
is
of the
not a final two.
competition. Like, you should not vote him out ever, or you should
Mm,
not count him out ever. Not vote him out.
mhm.
I would vote him
Oh
out.
yeah, for
But
sure,
he's
for
way too
sure.
smart. He knows what he's doing. He's playing the game so well at this point.
Yeah, he even said that he feels like if Tucker goes, that he'll be seen as like the puppet master, and people will see what he's been doing. So
I could see
Right.
that because I mean, what's
There's a
good
reason
for
why.
Joseph is good for Tucker at this point.
Right, and there's a reason why Brooklyn doesn't think that Joe is even doing anything in the house because Brooklyn doesn't know how to read that scenario. Again, another time where Brooklyn gets it wrong. Um, like just another time of Brooklyn failing. I mean, but can you say anything about her feeling when here it is again, married mothers dreading their representation?
I love that we
I don't
had
know.
just get one last dig at Brooklyn before we end the podcast. So would it be right here? Would it? Would it?
As a former Mrs. America winner, I feel yes, Mrs. America, not Miss America, Mrs. America, the pageant for married women.
I didn't know we had Angela in here.
I know Angela was the first, the original, the true, the only married mother, and hopefully, wouldn't this not put a cap on the season if Angela became the first married mother to win on Brooklyn's behalf after she ate her coochie board?
It's
Not over it.
The
Not
damn
over it.
charcuterie.
Justice for the coochie board. Well, y'all.
supposed to be charcuterie.
Justice for the coochie board. Justice for the coochie board.
For the charcuterie board.
Well, yeah, it's been a fun tonight, y'all. It's definitely been a fun week, and if y'all have made it this far in the podcast, again, want to thank y'all so much for listening. Hope you had a good time tonight. Please comment below, let us know if you did, because we're a hot mess tonight. It's just something in the air
We
about
were.
this week, you know. I don't know. I think you were a little bit more Team Miss Married Mother of the United States.
I kept it real as a
Uh,
married mother should.
I think it's the married mother disease that we're getting.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and we'll make sure that we do a special deep dive podcast here with Brooklyn next week. Next to make sure that Jack's favorite is on here, y'all. So make sure you like and subscribe for that one, because I know you'll enjoy that content if that ever gets made.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure that would go over well. She'd be
the
like, "You
first
called me a
ever
bitch?" I was like,
podcast where
"Good."
she just yells at you the whole time.
I'd be like, "I'm not taking this from a married mother. How dare you?"
Jeez. Well, be sure to get in touch with all of our actual content that we'll be making this year, y'all. As far as more continuing coverage on Big Brother 26, RuPaul's Drag Race Global All Stars, as well as the Canada versus the World 2 season finale, which airs tonight. Hashtag Team Lemon. But until then, y'all, and on behalf of my co-casters, Doug and Zach, this is Renegade signing out. I need to hurry up and do this because otherwise we're just gonna keep on talking, y'all. But remember, keep spilling that tea, y'all. Bye.
Don't eat my charcuterie board, bitch.
How dare you take my clothes?